Hello, everyone. Meteorologist Hutch Johnson with an update on the tropical situation as we have Hurricane Francine making landfall in Louisiana right now. New Orleans is under the gun. Now, we do see a lot of these red areas here. There is a tornado watch active right now as the eye is working its way right over the Homa area and heading toward New Orleans at this time. Showers, thunderstorms, some possible embedded tornadoes, and we'll have some wind reports to show you here as well as we take a look at the radar and the past track of the storm system right now. So let's get to it. If you have a question at all, drop me a note down below. Otherwise, I'd love to see where you're watching from. And have you ever been through a hurricane? It is something that I have personally never experienced. But as we take a look, storm system moving off of Cancun really did intensify yesterday, became a Category 1 storm, and it is flirting with that Category 2 level right now. But as it makes its way on shore, it's going to, kind of disengage from that source of energy or that warm ocean water. So taking a look at the most recent radar scan, we can see clearly the eye of the storm, the very heavy bands of rain working their way through just south of Baton Rouge right now, heading right into the New Orleans area. This is some pretty stiff and stout rainfall rate activity working its way in as well. So most of the heaviest of the rain south of Baton Rouge heading up to Macomb as well at this time. So now we can take a look at these little blue icons here showing some measurement reports on the ground of the wind speeds, because at flight level, when the no emissions work their way through, we're talking winds aloft that were closing in on 100 miles per hour. But here's what's hitting the ground right now in a local storm report 2 miles southwest of Delac. 68-mile-per-hour gusts reported there from a Mesonet station, and that is with a gust, 68 mile per hour confirmed with a gust to 96 miles per hour. So 96 mile per hour winds flirting with that 100 category, flirting with that Category 2 strength out there. As we take a look at a storm report, this is a 49 mile per hour sustained wind that was going through 1 mile east of the Bayou Cane, heading into the Homa area. Now, just north of Homa, we got a storm report there of a 41 mile per hour sustained wind there as well. And that was reported 1 mile east-northeast of the Thibodaux area. So New Orleans heading in on the big Lake Pontchartrain up to the north side of it. You got that wind coming in from the south and to the east. So indeed, there could be some storm surge issues going on as the system works its way up to the north and to the east. The good news is actively right now, I do not see any tornado warnings. We have some marine advisories off the coast in the Gulf shores, south of Biloxi, south of Panama City, where the outer bands are working their way in toward the panhandle of Florida and Tallahassee right now. And looking in on Tampa Bay, you can see all the way towards West Palm Beach and Miami, the impacts of this system, Hurricane Francine, making her self known to the region. Now, let's take a look at a couple of other things. We'll take a look at the spaghetti plot. Where is it going from here? Here is a look at this, and it's all over the place, all models having a fairly different direction the farther out in time we go in particular. As you see here, the scattered plot gets a little wider and more spread out because the solutions by the forecast models definitely diverge once we get past the next 12 hours. But for the next 12 hours, most of them have this. Look at this. Moving up this way, but the eye of the hurricane is jotting off to the east just a bit. So what's going on now is a little shift in what the models are showing, and it's moving off a little bit more in the general direction right toward the New Orleans area with regards to the eye. That means some of the strongest winds with the storm will be approaching New Orleans and the southern portion of Lake Pontchartrain as we go through. That storm system then is expected to make a left-hand turn and become more northerly in its motion as it goes right up towards Macomb, Jackson, as well as on into parts of, Memphis and right along that Arkansas border out there. So eastern Arkansas and central Arkansas should be bracing for some very, very heavy rains from this particular tropical system. Now, when we put up the radar data here, I'm going to ask for a look at the precipitation estimates here. So we're looking at reflectivity. Go over here. And let's go with the precipitation amounts showing up on this as estimated by the Doppler radar here. So let me pull that up. Precipitation over the last, pardon me. Okay, here we go. So 24-hour precipitation amounts should be loading up here. I think the color table may be a little off. Here we go. What do these colors mean? This is how much rain is estimated by the Doppler radar. And what you're looking at with this Morgan City area is really just getting started with the very heavy bands of rain moving in now, 3 to 4 inches already. As we look into New Orleans, the outer bands and the have hit. 2 to 3 inches of rainfall has been estimated by the Doppler radar there, with the heavier bands on their way. These will be pushing up in toward Baton Rouge as well, where rainfall estimates are approaching 1 inch. So the heaviest of the rain is on its way. We have some healthy amounts of rain just south of Monroe up there in northern Louisiana and Shreveport as well. As we look on the I-49 corridor, 1 to 3 inches of rain in a few spots estimated by Doppler radar. Dothan in the Alabama area also seeing a heavy batch from an outer band on the way there. So that's a look at the precipitation going on. Now let's take a look at the cone forecast from the official look from the National Hurricane Center. This is again showing that veering off and mainly becoming more northerly in its direction of movement as we go through the next 12 hours or so, once it gets through the New Orleans area. But you can see the whole thing is shifting off to the east of the cone, and it's heading on to the right side of this cone track. Remember, as we get farther out in time, that cone diverges because our certainty in the track diverges with increasing amounts of time. But already in the early stages of this cone forecast, that storm is jogging off to the east as that eye is doing a little bit of a restructuring as it works its way to the north and northeast. So again, this storm is very well kissing level 2 or Saffir-Simpson scale 2 strength once it exceeds that 99-mile-per-hour wind speed out there as it works its way to the north. So at least the gusts are that high. Looking on the big picture here, let's take a look at what's going on with the forecast. This will take a second to load, so while it's doing so, I'll go ahead and briefly talk just a little bit. In fact, what we'll do is take a look at the storm prediction, not the storm prediction center. Yeah, we can look at the hurricane and the tornado risk with this particular storm. Looking for some comments here. Hi, watching from North Dakota, friends in Baton Rouge. Yeah, indeed. My daughter lived down, I was down visiting in that area, and I tell you what, it is just something else. The humidity and the wind, and certainly all concerned with those folks that are down there right now. Gwen and Jean, thank you very much for your questions and comments there. Now, what we do want to take a look at here, let me pull this up for you so we can look at the actual details coming straight from the National Hurricane Center here. And here we go. Let's see if we can take a look at this. Now, what we're going to look at is some of the official products from the National Hurricane Center as we go through the evening tonight. A couple of things to keep in mind is that wind advisory, the greatest wind speeds, will really track with the center of that eye of the hurricane. It's around that center where the rotation is the tightest, and therefore we're going to see the strongest winds. So we see right from the New Orleans area and the Houma area where this storm has made landfall, and just off to the east of it, the strongest of the winds will be carrying up, and then they'll cross into the Mississippi Delta and hit southern Mississippi as well. So that's where the strongest of the winds will be. That's tonight in the next 12 hours. And then the farther inland it gets, the wind speeds should continue to deteriorate back down to tropical storm levels below 74 miles per hour as we go into the deep hours of the overnight. And I'll show you the forecast model trend here in one moment while that is loading up. Let me make sure it's loading up and behave over here while we go over the situation here. So I'll go ahead and load that loop up and make sure it's loading. And in the meantime, we'll look at the next concern with regards to the storm system, and that's going to be storm surge. So let's take a look at that. I'm sorry, my eyes are wandering here while I'm looking for the latest warnings with regards to that. Okay, so the peak surges expected with the winds that are being conjured up by Francine look like this. Where you see the red, that's from Burns Point right to Port Fourchon right here. That's where we have the 5 to 10 foot surge or swell. The wave height will be enough to really inundate that area as we go through the next few hours. Looking in a little bit closer to Lake Pontchartrain and those of you around New Orleans here, we're going to have a little bit lower potential, but I think it'll be on the higher end of this because of the track of this storm shifting just a little bit to the east. So we can have some more significant 4-foot storm surges possible as we look into that area and towards Lake Pontchartrain, towards New Orleans, because the eye of the storm is shifting just a little bit to the east east of the track that was expected. Nonetheless, between 2 and 10 feet will be the storm surge in the areas directly impacted. By the way, when we get into Mobile Bay and portions of Alabama and Mississippi, those levels range anywhere from 2 to 6 feet as well. So very impactful with that. The winds, the rain forecast, let's check this out. There is flash flooding potential in the areas you see colored here throughout the entire state of, well, essentially Alabama, Mississippi in particular. Where you see the red colors there, that is at least a 40% chance of some flash flooding concerns there. But here's a look at the rainfall expectations with regards to the storm system now as it's making landfall. Notice right over New Orleans, we have this orange shade. You kind of carry yourself over here to the scale, and that's anywhere between 8 and 12 inches of rain in New Orleans and in Houma, where this system is making landfall. And it is going to push up towards Baton Rouge as well. There's some heavy bands of rain making their way up in that general direction as well. That is a look at what's going on with this. Now let's go ahead and pop back into the forecast zone here, and we'll go ahead. Let me make sure it's all loaded in before I head over to that page. What's going on here? Load that loop. I think it says that it's loaded. Okay. So we are looking at the radar loop. Let me see if the radar data is turned off, and let's go here and load the loop. Okay, for whatever reason, my radar here is not behaving, but let me go ahead and put it up anyway, because we do have that forecast radar here that I'd like to try to focus in on. So as we go through, this is one forecast model, and it's kind of a blend of models, and it now is updating, and it's showing that eye of the storm a little bit farther to the east here of the cone track. So the model is definitely a little bit better off with regards to where it has this storm by around the 7 o'clock time frame. So let me just load them up one frame at a time here as we go through. So here is, let's pull up the 7 to 10 p.m. time frame here, if it will let me do that. Okay, well, the model is not loading in, and I don't know what's going on here. So I'll just have to, let me go to the model timeline and his. Yeah, it's not working. So I apologize for that. I may be having some download speed issues here, but essentially this storm system now is popping off on the right side of this cone track here. So if you're looking at the National Hurricane Center's forecast cone, it will likely be more on the right side of the cone there as we go through the forecast period tonight. It looks like we do have a new wind gust measurement here as we look off over New Orleans. So we're getting some wind reports with regards to this system. Let me see if I can go back to the tropical tracker here one second and look at the main timeline and the data coming in. So, all right, and let's go here. And here it is. So the new magnitude wind gusts that was reported, I got to move this over for you. My big melon is in the way. New Orleans, 59 mile per hour winds. And it does look like we see in the that was an ASOS wind gust measurement to 60 miles per hour. So we have 60 mile per hour gusts or thereabouts moving into New Orleans right now, and right over the Houma area, right near the eye of the storm, we do have a 49 mile per hour sustained wind recorded there, with one gust down here south of Houma that was recorded to be upwards of 96 miles per hour, a 96 mile per hour gust in this area here, just to the south of Houma. So strong winds getting ready to move into the southern portions of Louisiana. Now with showers and thunderstorms that will continue to track into the overnight, generally expected to take more of a northerly turn towards Jackson and Memphis, and maybe even points just a little bit off to the east of there as we go into the deep hours of the overnight. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. I sure appreciate you joining me on this version of Hutch's weather. Across the nation, we have showers and a few storms, some windy ones at that, in the mountains of Montana and Idaho, where there are some terrible fires going on right now. Those terrible fires are causing some nasty smoke to take place across the Rocky Mountain West, and that's heading all the way up into the northern plains of the Dakotas. A quick peek at the forecast for smoke across the lower 48 as we go through the next 24 hours can be seen here. And what I want to highlight, this is near surface smoke. This is not the upper atmospheric smoke as we take a look ahead. And I'm going to go back one forecast model run here that gets me out a little bit farther in time. If you happen to live in the mountains of Idaho, we're going to get a little bit of a reprieve as most of that smoke starts heading just down to the south a pinch and heading into southern Idaho, northern Nevada. And look at the fires down in Southern California really spewing out some smoke. Clearing out will be the conditions just a little bit briefly as we head into your Thursday in the northern plains parts of Minnesota under an air quality alert. The same thing goes for North Dakota, where that level of smoke is expected to dissipate just a bit heading into the next 24 hours, but not the case for Southern California, western parts of Arizona, as well as northern Nevada and central Oregon, which is a source point for many of these fires. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. I sure appreciate your likes on the videos if you gain something from them. Would appreciate you giving me a follow right here on the YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button. Hope to see you back again. Until next time, stay tuned. And for all of the viewers in the path of Hurricane Francine, stay safe.